to be happening in the city as the county government strives to improve the outlook of the county. Now, Kevin Ogutu has been following up on a standoff between the county and a businessman. Kevin Ogutu, good morning. So what is going on?
Well, a very good morning, Brenda. And when you talk about matters, demolitions, this is something that has been in the news for some time in Kisumu County. This is a process that started way back in 2019, September or thereabout, where a number of business establishments were brought down to pave way for the expansion of Kisumu Port. This one continued later on with the county government of Kisumu and the city management striving to change the face of Kisumu. But what is coming out is there appears to be a conflict here between the traders who are displaced by the demolitions and one businessman who goes by the name Newton Babior, and whose containers were brought down yesterday morning, just hours after the said company, the said business person had put them somewhere along what was referred to as the Akamba area in Kisumu. This is one area where a number of business establishments were brought down, and when these containers, quite a number of them, were placed there on Tuesday night by this business person, there was a serious public outroar, especially the business community that were displaced and are still struggling to find footing within Kisumu. So this is one thing that strangely the city management of Kisumu has distanced itself from, saying that the business person, despite the company winning the tender to supply the containers that will be used, the company apparently floated some of the rules that were in the contract. The statement from the city manager of Kisumu, Abala Wanga, states that somewhere in 2020, the Kisumu city or Kisumu County floated tenders for people to bring in containers, which will then be used in creating a decent business environment in terms of shops. And four companies actually applied for it, showed interest in that. And one company called Space Buster, that's associated by one Newton Babior, won the tender. But now, after placing some of these containers, and some of the containers being in some location for more than 3 months, yesterday the city management turned around and brought down even the containers that this particular company had placed and had been there, complete with a business person for like 3 months now. And this is one thing that really angered the business community and those who were affected, and everything else was brought down. This was quite a really interesting scenario, given that normally for you to really place anything in this city, it means that you need to have some authorization from the city management. You can't just place a container, yet the city is not aware of it. And when it turned out that the containers that were placed at night, on Tuesday night, were being brought down together with others that had been placed earlier by the same business person, there was serious uproar. So this is something that, of course, will need a careful balancing act, because in as much as we have seen efforts by the national government and also the county government to create really that good business environment in the name of Uhuru Business Park, which will host quite over 5,000 traders. But this is still not open to the business community, and people are still struggling. We also have the Kibuye market, which is still under construction. This is still not open because the construction is not yet done. So when it comes to issues of business and trade here, it appears like what most people will really have to be very careful where they pay their money in terms of rent, because yesterday a number of traders really counted their losses, those who are just ambushed with the demolitions, and they had to salvage the little that they could. Yet it was very clear when they were getting these spaces that the city management was aware of this. So this is one situation that, of course, everyone will be keen to see how they are handled. Well, the city management, through that statement by the city manager, has already distanced itself from the placement by this particular business person. And what remains is, what will they be doing now, given that he has already floated some of the rules in the contract.
Right, but Ogutu, then it begs the question, was there any sort of notice that was given to the businessman before the demolition was done?
Well, the businessman had placed these containers on Tuesday night, working under the cover of darkness. So by morning, those who had been displaced, the businesses that had been displaced, were wondering who now is this that is lining up containers where we were really kicked out from just over 1 year ago. So when it comes to the trouble that was there in the morning of yesterday, there could not be any notice because apparently this had been done under the cover of darkness, and by morning the temperatures were rising from those who had been affected. But now again, apart from that, he had also placed some which had been there for like 3 months. These ones again had people in doing their businesses, but the same bulldozer went there and really demolished everything. So there was no notice, and that's why we talk about a number of people who lost, businessmen who lost properties worth thousands of shillings.
All right. Kevin Ogutu, my colleague in Kisumu County, talking to us about that spat over the alleged demolition that are said to be happening in the city of Kisumu County, which strives to improve the outlook of the county government. And we've seen the Kisumu County government has put several measures in place just as a way of changing the face of Kisumu County, including, removing hawkers from the streets of Kisumu and also stopping burial sites within some slum areas like in Obonga and also Nyalende, just as a way of trying to improve the, the look of Kisumu County. Now, away from